One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. So let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm standing at the crossroads. I'm feeling like a lost soul. Don't know where I wanna go, but all I know is I wanna be free. They're telling me to let it be, but that just ain't in me, no. Jealousy and envy, but all I see is I wanna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Don't let it get the most of me. Eventually, I'm gonna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm gonna be free. Let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I told them take their aim off me. Stop trying to get a name off me. If they would just let me be, I'm gonna be free. I told them take them chains off me and throw away the locks and keys. If they would just let me be, eventually I'm gonna be free.
They're back.
What up, though? 7 days, and we're back again for another episode of Dominant Effect. I'm Archbishop. We got Mike Ball. We got Aaron Oliger. What's up, everybody? Glad everybody was able to join us this evening. We got a pretty good little story for you we're going to talk about. But before we jump into it, like always, we check and see what everybody done for the week. So we'll start with you, Aaron. What's up with you, brother? How was your week?
Oh, it was wonderful. I had a great show this weekend up in Hamilton at the Butler County Fairgrounds. Not a very big crowd, but everyone that showed up was definitely spending. So that was very profitable for me, and it came at a time where I needed it. So I was glad to get it. And I'll stop there.
Yeah, I didn't do anything like that, but I definitely, for me, been actually kind of disengaging as much as possible when I can, of course, on my off time from the show, as well as even this previous weekend. I kind of stayed off of what the world news was altogether, just because I needed a little separation for a moment, and actually because I'm focusing on myself, as you guys know. So, yeah, I had to get some things in line, and luckily, it's all come to fruition.
That's what's up. Yeah, this week has been it's actually been pretty good for the most part. I said, we're still um, working on getting Born Protector up and running. That should be started here very soon. We getting all the little last minute things straightened out, and dealing with a lot of um, paperwork and booking sites and stuff like that. So it's going along pretty good. Um, other than that, I think that's about it. Family doing good. My sister, she ends up she was in the hospital the other day. She got some problems, had a few little health issues going on. So I haven't got to talk to her, but I hope she's doing all right.
Oh, damn.
Um,
I've got her in my prayers then, for sure.
yeah, other than that, that's been it's been about it, man. It's just been you know, every day is busy. You know what I mean? You don't get a whole lot of time to actually sit down and just relax. You know what I mean? You're constantly going. So um, I mean, I thank God for it, but like I said, it's also a lot of stuff to do. So we're gonna jump into this story tonight, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the reason why I'm doing this story. Um, because I heard it when they first talked about it a couple days, well, probably about 5, 6 days ago
Mm-hmm.
when they started talking about it, and it really wasn't a talk. It's like they brought it up, and just as soon as they brought it up, it was gone.
Yes,
You didn't
you're
hear
right.
nothing else about it. So when that happened, I was like, okay,
I'm
that's what
gonna
I'm going to
look at
talk about.
that. Yeah, I want to look
That's
at
what I'm
that.
going to talk
Yeah.
about. Just because you did it so quick. Now, if you would have put a little bit of conversation with it, then I probably would have went right on by it. But being the fact that you didn't, it was like that hit and gone. Yep, something to it. Let me talk about it. So this is what we're going to talk about today. Um, so I'm gonna give you a little something to think about. So um, a little more than 30 years ago, the U.S. now is deciding to start back with this nuclear testing, and this is not just like political posturing. It could be profound implications behind it: global security, civilian safety, international relations. I mean, list goes on. The announcement by President Trump has raised alarm bells nationwide, also worldwide, because listeners are about to be aware of, how can you put, even though they said that this was a non-explosive system that they're testing, but it also sends a strong signal out to a lot of these nations, especially some of these nations that has nuclear weapons themselves. So in this episode, we're gonna kind of break down the historical content on it, and then talk about why uh, the nuclear testing is such a how would you say, um, such a scare to everybody. Like, why is everybody nervous because they say they want to start doing this testing
Right.
again? And what could be the possible implications behind it? Stuff like that. So this is what we're going to hit tonight. But um, so recently, um, Trump had announced that he was going to reach out to the Department of War, Department of Defense, whichever one you want to use, to immediately begin testing these nuclear weapons on a equal basis, same as Russia and China. Um, while the Energy Secretary clarified these as non-explosive systems, a lot of these tests, um, rather than the full nuclear capabilities that they're testing, they announced that just that itself carries weight. Just and it doesn't have to do anything dealing with the detonations. So whether these tests could escalate into explosions, create strategic tension, don't know. Um, but this announcement also comes at a sensitive time, right before the summit with China and the president, and following Russia's claims for this advanced nuclear testing, even without explosions. Such as statements with a single strength readiness and resolve to the allies and overall readiness, and a lot of anniversaries dealing with a lot of these nuclear testings. So it's important to understand, I think, that this nuclear strategy, this preparation, um, often matters as much as reality. So even the suggestion of testing can provoke global concern and influence the international policy that's been set up, for these past 30 years since all this testing stopped. Um, Aaron, me and you was talking about this earlier before the show started. So what is your take on?
Okay, well, I definitely feel it's necessary at this time. I'm an old believer in peace through superior firepower. If you the toughest one on the block, you got people that are trying to move up. They're less likely to mess with you if you got the firepower to back up everything that you're saying, especially if they realize that in attacking you, it's mutual assured destruction on them. I mean, we saw earlier this year where China had their, I'm gonna call it a weapons parade. That was their show and tell to the world. Hey, look at what we got. We're not messing around. You don't want to mess with us. And they were trying to scare people. You've got North Korea firing off missiles left and right now, perfecting their nuclear weapons. I mean, we fired, I believe it was Sunday night, we fired a Titan 3, no, a Minuteman 3 missile, which is one of our doomsday missiles over top of California. And you can see that thing arcing through the air to let people know that, hey, we're ready. Our systems work, even though some of them are kind of old. Uh, we have to modernize our stuff. And I'm going to tell you why. You got Russia back during the SALT 1, SALT 2 treaties to have the MAD perspective, mutual assured destruction. They basically made us dismantle our missile bases that was on the east and west coast that could shoot down missiles fired at us. We had to almost make ourselves defenseless to the Russian missiles so that they could hit us if we hit them. And they was willing to sign a treaty on it, but Russia has always maintained a higher number of nukes. That's part of their negotiation. But they saw the day would come to where we'd have to revisit that again. Well, what if we break the treaty with them? Uh, then what's going to happen then? Well, and Trump has already said we're going to build the Golden Dome, which is going to be the anti-missile systems that's going to go into the United States. So what did Russia do? They saw that far down the road into the future, and they came out with a whole series of hypersonic missiles. The first one you hear about a lot in the news called the Kinzhal. That's an air-launched ballistic missile. I mean, they can launch it from a fighter or from a bomber.
We're
And the
talking from
bomb,
Russia's side, right?
yeah, but I mean, they could come right over top and come to the outer edge of Canada. I don't know if that's the Arctic Circle up there, but they can fly right over top of it. And as they reach the Canadian border, they can fire that missile and land that thing in the United States, and their bombers could turn around and go back, rearm, reload, and come back and do it again.
Those missiles are straight from Iran, correct?
Now that I'm not sure. That I'm not sure. They
I
very well
believe
could
that's where
be.
they get them.
Okay. They got the Zircon missile. That's an anti-ship cruise missile designed to take out our carriers. Again, it's hypersonic. It can avoid our counters that we put into the air to try to hit it. They can maneuver and try to not be hit. Then you got the Vanguard. That's a hypersonic glide vehicle, which can be mounted to an ICBM. So they could launch an ICBM up into outer edge of space and release that, and it will glide back down to Earth to hit whatever target that it's going after. Then you have what the one that they're using in, God, what's the name of that place? Zelensky's place.
Ukraine?
Yeah, yeah,
Ukraine?
Ukraine. Yeah, and that's the Oreshnik missile. That's an intermediate range missile that can be nuclear capable if they want it to be, but it's hard to bring it down when they shoot that in. They've got no defense against them. And then you look at the history. Back in 1961, Russia tested a weapon called the Tsar Bomba. That was a 50 megaton weapon. It released so much energy that it scared the people to set it off. They thought they was going to blow themselves up. Like I said, it's first tested in October of 61, 50 megatons of strength. And to give you an idea of how much power it had, if you're familiar with the bomb that we dropped on Nagasaki that leveled that city, this is 2,000 times stronger than the bomb we dropped on Nagasaki. Then Russia has an underwater drone called the Poseidon. It's a status 6 oceanic multi-purpose system. It's like a submarine, but it's not quite as big as one. A Russian sub could carry about 4 of these. It's large, it's autonomous, which means once they turn it loose, it's going to make its own decisions, and it can outmaneuver things that you shoot at it to try to bring it down. But it's underwater, and it's also nuclear powered. It carries a SAR bomba warhead, 50 megatons. Its job is to get as close as it can to our coastlines of our major cities, detonate, and create something called a mega tsunami, which will be totally, that wave will be totally radioactive. So let's say that they use that on New York City and that wave comes ashore. Anybody that's down in the subways that thought they were safe, when that water hits and comes down and floods those subways, those people are going to die too. There will be no protection from this. Uh, and they've got those out there. And that's the one that they brag about. They have other what they call UUVs, which is unmanned underwater vehicles, which are basically underwater drones that they don't talk about. But that Poseidon is totally autonomous once they release it. It could sail around out there for probably 10 or 50 years, seeing it's nuclear powered. It don't have to come in and refuel. And then it'll pick its target and then detonate. But our enemies are trying to get ahead of us right now. We don't want to appear to be weak. We don't want to look like Venezuela looks with the United States sitting over top of it. Once that happens, they're going to attack us. I mean, as far as the Christian faith goes, the United States is the stronghold of Christianity in the world. In China, Africa, different places, they're killing Christians left and right. If the United States goes down, Christianity will probably go down in the world. And people need to consider that. Our allies might not like the idea that we're testing our systems, but people, we got to make sure our stuff works. It'd be the same way as if you're at home sitting there in your house and something's getting ready to go down. Don't you get out your guns and clean them, oil them, make sure they're ready to do business? Or are you going to sit there with them dirty and dust bunnies in them and stuff, and you're going to hope they work when you go to try to pull the trigger on the mechanisms? I mean, anybody with any sense would want to make sure that everything is up to snuff. And we're also showing our enemies that our stuff is up to snuff. So if they start to get froggy, somebody's going to get swatted. And with that, I'll stop right there.
So with this whole topic, this has been something since Trump brought it up, Archbishop, what you're referring to about 5 days ago, 6 days ago, whatever it was. I actually agreed. Like, yeah, we should be testing ours. And I've even said that on my show. We haven't tested them since 1992. And until this topic came up with what we're talking about, I started researching rather than just go surface level and started researching. And I basically asked AI specifically to give me a pros and cons list. And then I broke down and asked the further questions from that. Now, one of the things I do want to show you guys is I looked this up and I thought it was definitely interesting. Let me go ahead and bring it like this. So would U.S. testing, again, help or hurt U.S. #1 status, meaning us being the #1 nuclear power in the world, right? Would this affect us being the #1? And so on the military confidence and signaling, of course, yes, does it help? It does slightly, but it does risk an arms race, as well as global influence and allies. Does it help? No. Or yes. And then well, we got different leadership and environmental, public health, all of this stuff. These are all cons. And then what I read down here is the real danger. Testing again could trigger Russia, China, India, Pakistan, and North Korea to test too, possibly starting a nuclear tech race instead of preserving U.S. dominance. So sometimes less is more in these kind of situations, right? Sometimes you might be doing something that may be onto your detriment. Maybe you don't want to bring up, a testing race. This was just something that I had looked up and wanted to get into. Whoops, my apologies here. And it's so, as far as I could tell, there's only a few pros of us testing our weapons, our nukes, right? I mean, yes, granted, what Aaron was saying is we haven't tested our shit since 1992. Do we want to have our shit have dust bunnies and shit like that? And like, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But I looked into it as the way that they maintain that shit, right? It's nonstop maintained. And they say, I mean, this is their claim, the government's claim, that the way that they deal with our nuclear weapons is to the same degree as if we were testing them, essentially, just like right there below it. So I don't see a humongous benefit of us testing.
Mm-hmm. Now, what I was going to ask was the stuff that we already have, of course, they have in the silos and all that stuff, which is constantly checked every day. You know what I mean? So, and then even with the systems that they're using, they never upgraded those systems. Those systems are still analog. They still use actual floppy disk on those to keep it from being tampered into, keep it from getting tapped. So that stuff is already, you already know that this stuff here has been maintained. It's been maintained since they did it. Now, the question now is that you're testing now for new shit, not the shit we already got. This is new stuff.
Right. And it changes daily.
Right. So with that part, that's the part that I was talking about how, like what would these other countries thinking now, being the fact that he said that. Now, don't get me wrong, there's been several occasions that he's said something and then took it back later. So you don't know whether that's one of those occasions, or is he absolutely sure and this actually goes into effect? You know what I mean? You don't know. I mean, but I think before we talk about this stuff here, we need to actually kind of get a little bit of the context, the historical part to this, so that way we can kind of understand this a little bit more. So to understand the significance of restarting this testing, then we got to look back at the history part of this. So the first nuclear exploration, known as the Trinity test, which occurred in New Mexico in 1945, making it the beginning of the atomic age. So between 1945 and 1992, the United States conducted more than 1,000 nuclear tests. Initially above ground and then later underground, to develop this perfect weapon to maintain this credible deterrent in the nation. So some of these tests, like the 1954 Castle Bravo explosion, that had a catastrophic fallout. Okay, so when that happened, you had a bunch of civilians that was harmed, the environment, illustrating, right, it was bad, illustrating that real world dangers to these testings do exist. So after decades of experimentation and all that, then the the U.S. decided to do this notorium on nuclear detonations beginning in 1992. So that long pause kind of helped establish this global, the actual global norm dealing with nuclear testing. But even with the what is that? What's the one I'm looking at? That CNTB, the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. Even though the U.S. has never ratified it, the understanding of that treaty has been a historical backdrop to a lot of the highlights, and which is why the move to resume testing just seems a little technical, so to speak,
And risky.
but it's also symbiotic and strategic as well. So, so going back to that testing, like I said, they did above ground and they did below ground, and then the biggest one, the one that actually went south, was the one at Castle Bravo, and that was the first series of like a high yield thermonuclear design. Was tested back in March of '54, and these tests was conducted over in the Marshall Islands as part of Operation Castle, and that was the most powerful nuclear device ever detonated in the U.S. It was 15 megatons. But the back end of that was that the fallout from that contaminated the islands. People had radiation, killed animals, all of that, and it was there for a long period of time. You know what I mean? With all that radiation, so I guess there's good. I don't think there's any actually good parts about testing nuclear weapons. I don't think so, but
There is
I
one
understand.
proof of
I
concept. That's
understand,
it.
and right, I understand on one side being able to stay dominant. You got to be able to have these weapons. I understand that. You know what I mean? And a lot of this is more deterrence than anything. But there was a movie. I don't know whether you've seen it. It just came out like back in September. It's called House of Dynamite. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Okay. So you seen what happened. Like they're sitting in there and the radar shows an ICBM coming from Asia. But they don't know exactly where it's coming from. They couldn't pinpoint exactly where it came from. And it got up so far and it got over top of Alaska, whatever, and then they fired the counter missiles at them. One of them didn't even make it there. The other one missed it. So it's, they were talking about it's kind of like hitting a bullet with a bullet, and it missed, and it ends up hitting Chicago. But it showed it like in different parodies. It showed it from different standpoints, from the president's side over to the Secretary of Defense side, over to Homeland Security side. It showed like all these different dynamics and how they perceived it going on. But when you're watching that, it put reality to a lot of this stuff, because even with the defense systems that we have, as they said, it's just like hitting a bullet with a bullet. So you may hit it, you may not. Even with the most sophisticated weapons, one of them can get through and still cause catastrophic, make this a full catastrophic event. So what's your take on that, Aaron?
Well, I did see the movie, And one of the lessons that people should have realized from that movie was we had no civil defense plan for the population. I
Mhm.
Years ago, back around 2015, I looked up civil defense in my area, and there really wasn't one there then. And that movie clearly showed there wasn't one now. In fact, some of the plan was to load a bunch of people at Third and Main downtown on the RTA buses and take them out on the highway going towards Cincinnati. But halfway there, you're just going to stop and park because there was nowhere for them to go. So they're caught out in the open when the nukes start dropping, which I thought was insanity myself. But
Mhm.
that movie clearly showed there was no defense plan. If the missiles didn't stop it, they wasn't going to tell the public what was going on. Um, they knew when they was tracking it, they knew the computer showed the trajectory and where it was going to hit. They could have sounded an alarm, anything, so that people could take cover. They chose not to do nothing to alert the public.
Now,
So,
even with that, when it showed it on there, from
mhm,
the time that they recognized that there was a launch, it was 19 minutes.
right.
So within those 19 minutes, they had to figure out what they were going to do, whether they're going to send countermeasures, evacuate, put out a warning to evacuate, whatever. You know what I mean? And they still never tried to evacuate because by the time that they in that movie, by the time they actually figured out what they was going to do, it was almost too late.
And that's the problem there. There was too much talking going on, not enough action. You got anti-missile batteries on Arleigh Burke destroyers. Why didn't any of them fire at it? Why did they think only two missiles would be enough to stop it? When one of them didn't take off, why didn't they fire a barrage of them up there to make sure they got that? The people in Chicago were all dead for their lack of action.
Mm-hmm.
So, and going back to what Mike said, that, you know, you could do too much. I don't think so, because North Korea is testing missiles now. North Korea is building more bombs now. China don't have the bombs that America and Russia has. However, they're building more bombs to try to add up to that. Uh, they say Iran's not doing it, but those earthquakes they had that was between 3 and 4.5, that was all underground. Uh, that there was something exploding there. So you're looking at all these countries that are arming up, and then they want to get an attitude if the United States says, well, we're going to do the same thing just to match you. We're just matching them. We're not trying to get out ahead of them. Oh, that might start an arms race. Oh, really? These people are building bombs. They're not playing around. So do we want to sit back and twiddle our thumbs and hope they come to a negotiating table? Or are we going to arm ourselves to protect ourselves, if nothing else, with anti-missile missiles to bring their stuff down? I mean, when we going to start building that Golden Dome? Because these people ain't going to wait for us to get that done before they hit us.
Sure.
And then you
I
look
think
at
that's
look
been
at
that way.
China's new bomber. Man, it looks an awful lot like our B-2. Hey, it looks almost like a damn copy of our B-2, and it happens to be a stealth bomber on top of it. I mean, these people aren't messing around. They're building weapons to attack us with. So, are we going to sit back and take that, not protect ourselves? Uh, if
Yeah,
I
I'm with
know an
you on
enemy,
that.
yeah, if I know an enemy's coming, uh, I might hit him before he gets to my house, and to weaken his numbers. I mean, I don't know, but I don't like what I see developing here. Now we'll start an arms race. Now, if they're building bombs and we just match them, and we don't even have to build any, all we have to do is build the ability to stop their stuff from coming over here, and they're going to get an attitude with us. To me, that shows something right there. They have plans for us, and their plans based on bad intentions, and we need to be prepared for it.
Okay.
But I'll
Let me
stop
ask you.
there.
Let me ask
Go
you
ahead.
this, Aaron. So, so you have 9 nations that has nuclear weapons, right?
Hmm.
Now, do you
including
think?
Israel or not.
Yeah, yeah, including them. They the only ones that keep the secret about everything, though. You know what I mean? But we ain't gonna talk about that because people don't like that. So we
Well,
ain't gonna
we
talk.
like being on YouTube too.
Right,
So,
right. And you know that in certain states in the U.S. it's a felony to talk about
oh,
that
really?
government. Yeah, it's a
I
felony to
believe
talk
it.
about that government in certain states. So we ain't even gonna bring it up. Um, but what I am gonna bring up is this: with this with this threat of starting the nuclear testing, okay, which we know Iran was doing it. We know Russia's been still doing it. We know China's doing it. We know North Korea's been doing it. North Korea hasn't hid from doing anything that they've been doing. They've been they've been putting them out there, and they ain't gave a shit what nobody thought. They've been doing it. So I get that part. Now, do you think though that by us doing it, do you think that a lot of these border countries around, let's say Russia or around uh, Iran, like Saudi Arabia, stuff like that, do you think that would implore them more to want to have something of their own too?
I'm gonna say it could possibly, but there's countries right now that don't want them, and they don't want us stationing our weapons inside their country. And I want to use a live fire example. I'm gonna use Pakistan as an example. When they went against India, Pakistan was going to use nukes. If it wasn't for India intelligence getting a wind of that and sending the Air Force in to hit this one base and bury the bunker that had the nukes stored in them, and then it was rumored that one of the nukes was leaking radiation, they had every intention of nuking India. These third world countries will use them quick. I mean, I would say North Korea would be definitely someone that would launch a first strike rather than wait and let someone catch their defenses on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
People like that,
I believe that.
they're dangerous. And then when they start doing their tests, is there a chance that a third world country could test a nuke and blow themselves up? Oh, hell yes. Will the fallout go across nation borders? Oh, most definitely. Because they don't know what they're doing. I mean, man has been destroying himself for years. And if they actually keep flirting with this limited nuclear war, you hit us with 20, we hit you with 20, and then we stop, and whoever can become back full productive in industry wins the war, that's a damn joke. And the fact that they're actually flirting with that 20 nukes over here in the United States would leave this whole country radioactive. The other bigger countries might be okay, might have safe areas, but our entire country would be radioactive. That Satan 2 missile that Russia has, one could take out the entire state of Texas. And when you get up around New England, you can put a whole bunch of New England states inside the state of Texas. So you let 5 of them make it over here, this whole country is burnt to a crisp. We got to stop that stuff in space or whatever with that Star Wars program that you never hear anything about. It was big news back under Reagan and stuff, but you don't hear about it now. Uh, if we got weapons up there with charged particle beams and all this stuff that they say is on them, we need to be ready to use them. We need as many anti-missile missiles that can bring down those hypersonics. We need that technology now, not later. So
Mm-hmm.
they could sit around and twiddle their thumbs, and the public could get mad and say, I don't want this or that. We want peace and love. I got no problem with that. But the fact that they're making bombs to attack us with, the fact that they're making peace treaties among themselves to protect each other in the event one of them gets into it with the United States, we get into it with Russia, we're going to have 4 or 5 or 6 other countries jumping on us in one shot. So, and then for Europe or whatever to get mad and say, hey, we don't want you building all these nukes, who's the first person they're going to run to when Russia starts to invade them, or China starts to invade, or Iran starts to invade in the Middle East? Who's the first country that everyone's going to run to and want us to do something, but you're going to tell us you can't have no weapons? You know,
So
that
real
to me,
quick,
that's
what
ridiculous. Go
I want
ahead.
to show, this is an interesting thing that I saw not that super long ago, maybe somewhere north of like 8-9 months ago. I saw this come out. Now this came out in 2018, but it is the 5 nations that can hit any place on Earth with a missile for now, and that being Russia, United States, China, Britain, France. Now, of course, Russia can absolutely hit us. You know what I mean? That is the you know what I mean? But these are the guys that can hit anybody, nonetheless, of just geographical location. They can hit the globe. And I thought this was interesting. It actually shows, like, for instance, Israel's and India's and Saudi Arabia, Iran, Pakistan, South Korea, and Taiwan's range of missiles as well. Because a lot of these nukes are warheads that are thrown onto ICBMs or whatever. You know what I mean? So this is their range. And I thought that was totally something interesting. And I just wanted to share that. That's from, by the way, let me go ahead and bring it up, the New York Times. So.
Now,
Anyways,
and
I'll drop that
I
in the chat.
I understand what you're saying there, Mike, but North Korea does have missiles that can reach the United States now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not showing that there. And then there's missiles inside Venezuela right now that can hit the United States. And that's part of the problem that we're having down there with Venezuela. We didn't accept it from Cuba. And I don't think we're going to accept it with Chinese and Russian missiles being in Venezuela that can target the United States. And then when you talk about North Korea, everyone is ignoring the fact they got 60 damn submarines that's got damn nukes on them. So their ship launched missiles can reach us. So people need to understand China, Russia, Iran, everybody's got submarines and they got nukes on them. Don't forget about them, because there's some sneaky son of a guns, and they'll park right in your back door and be dropping bombs on you. You only get a 5 or 10 minute notice when they start launching. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
truthfully, if a nuclear war breaks out, nobody's going to be a winner of that. The majority of the population is going to be dead. The Bible talks about a time where people will wish they were dead. There'll be gnashing of teeth. Um, I see that as being nuclear war. They say the earth will be purified by fire. That's got to be nuclear war. When they say that a third of the world population will die in the next war, that's got to be nuclear war, because we ain't had it yet. We got what, almost 8 billion people on Earth now, maybe 8.5, 8.6, and you're going to eliminate a third of that?
Mm-mm. You know, I think from the perspective of these other nations, that announcement could be interpreted as an aggressive escalation. Some of them, like Russia and China, like they may view even a non-explosive test as justification to accelerate their own program. Basically, it's like, okay, well, it's not like it's non-explosive, but we still got to do ours just in case they slip in something in we don't know nothing about. The same way that we should have been with them all along, but haven't. You know what I mean? Just like when you talk about North Korea. North Korea could have been stopped before they got as to the advancement that they have now. They could have been stopped. And what happened with that? They were supposed to have them. They was, if I'm not mistaken, Clinton was going to bomb North Korea. They talked him out of it. They sent Jimmy Carter over there, who had a talk with not Kim Jong-un, but the father. And they were supposed to have agreed not to do any further testing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they straight lied. They
Yep.
went right back to it. As soon as he left, they went right back to it. You know what I mean? So a lot of this so a lot of this stuff, even with like me personally, I think that even with all this stuff going on, like, yeah, he may announce that, okay, we're gonna start doing testing. I don't think it ever stopped for real. You know what I mean? Because if you can do it and pull it off without nobody knowing anything about it, you can do it. You know what I mean? Just like they was doing over in Iran. You know what I
It's
mean? But
pretty hard to
nobody
get away
realized,
with shit. It's pretty hard to get away with shit nowadays, though. You know,
but
people
nobody really
catch wind.
realized Iran was doing that shit, even though they was having all them earthquakes. Nobody realized that that's what they was doing until
That's
later.
true.
By the time they realized that, hell, they had whole bases and shit built up underground and nobody even knew anything about.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So it could easily be done. Now over here, granted, people do talk a lot. They do talk a lot. And the
We're
first
all
time
about
somebody
gossip, homie.
and the first time somebody sees something that look exciting, they're gonna put it on YouTube. They're gonna put it on TikTok. They're gonna put it everywhere. You know what I
Instagram.
mean?
Yep.
So there is no quote secret. Once it gets out, it's out. Everybody knows. But I think that a lot of these smaller countries like Pakistan, North Korea, Iran, they could find this as they could either see this as being a threat or an opportunity, because that can help them step up their game. Like I was watching a show the other day where they was talking about uranium, and they was talking about Iran, and was talking about how they had to build it up. So you had 20% what you can use for electricity and stuff like that, and then the more you enrich it, once it gets up to 60%, then that's actually weapons grade for like a dirty bomb and stuff like that. And then once you hit 90, then that's what you can actually put on
That's
a
right.
warhead. And they said that they had been doing it, but they were lying about it the whole time. You know, so the same as all these other countries. You didn't know that they had them until all of a sudden they just popped up with them. And then once they got them, did you actually go in and take it from them? Hell no. That's how North Korea kept theirs, because you know they got them. You know what I mean? So once they got them and they threatened to use them, you back off. And that's exactly what's been going on all this time. But what about these smaller countries, even countries that we consider as allies? Once you hear us start talking about that, do you think that gives them a little bit more what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit more motivation to want to do it themselves, so that way they're protected just in
Sure.
case.
The Ukrainian war was an example. Ukraine was the most nuclear armed country in Europe until they agreed to sign one of those nuclear treaties, and they gave up their nukes for the assurance that the United States would come in and protect them if Russia attacked, and Russia assured them that they wouldn't attack. Then you fast forward a few years into the future, and Russia takes Crimea and some other places from them, and then go another year or two into the future, and then they come back and they're taking more chunks of their land and attacking them, and now Ukraine feels stupid for having gave up their nukes. Again, it was peace through superior firepower. That's what kept the aggressor, the bully, out of your backyard, was to have that firepower. Now, if your enemy is going to see it as an escalation, that you're matching their effort, that's all you're doing. We're not trying to get out ahead of nobody. Trump is saying, if they do a test, we'll do a test. If our enemies could say that's an escalation, then that proves right there they got plans for us. And people better wake up and smell the coffee before it's too damn late, and you'll be saluting the damn Chinese or Russian flag over here.
Right. No, that's a fair point, Aaron. You do definitely have a point there. You know, Ukraine is I mean, they fell for the bait with the whole United States and NATO and all of that. And I mean, this is exactly why a long time ago, I said disband NATO. I mean, NATO is a worthless organization at this point. But, whatever.
So here's a question. So do you think this would impact the average American in at
Um,
all?
Almost definitely. I mean, if they start testing again, where are they going to get the money from? That's got to come out of the defense budget. I don't know how much money has been allocated toward us modernizing our stuff right now, but it's definitely needed. And then, like I said, from that movie, and then from what I studied myself, there's really no civil defense plan here in the United States. Over there in Europe, they're telling their people to prepare, stockpile silver and gold, stockpile food, water, medicine, stockpile ammunition. You don't see that happening over here. The Red Cross just recently started telling people to prepare, but unless you've got regular TV, they're not showing it on cable. They're only showing it on regular TV.
It's not in the best interest of the U.S. government, though, for us to do that.
And that's probably true what you're saying there. But again, we're the stronghold. Japan had a chance to invade the United States, and that one guy, that one general that we killed of theirs, told them that they didn't want to do that because, and he was the one that set up the Pearl Harbor attack. He flat out said that there would be a gun behind every blade of grass. Was there like 78 million guns inside the United States right now that would come against an invader?
Right. That is
But
true.
if the government disarms us, like France, I mean, how many invading armies have France been able to push away with their population being totally unarmed?
Like the
No,
UK, like
nobody,
Canada.
nobody.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
So uh,
I
it's
like
in,
the fact that we have more firearms than people. I like that fact. I'm like, hell yeah, that's right, America.
Right.
but but the American public need to understand that when something like that goes down, you are on your own. You're your own first responder. You're your own policeman. You're your own everything until order can be reestablished. So you better be stocking. You better be prepping. You better be doing things. I mean, just like this little thing right here. That's potassium iodide tablets, 130 milligrams. They start dropping nukes. This is a must-have item in the first 15, no, first 14
Show it
days.
again. What is it?
Uh,
Show it again.
Potassium iodide
Oh,
tablets
yep. That's right. If we ever get hit,
on from the first bomb hit. You take one, it fills your thyroid up so it won't be absorbing radiation, so you won't get radiation sickness right off the bat. And for the first 14 days, the radioactivity is at its highest point. After 15 days, it goes down to half cycle. So at that point, you can start to go outside for a very limited period of time. You need a Geiger counter. You can order those offline off Amazon and stuff. You don't even have to get a big one. You can get a little small one just to read the radiation in the air to know when you can go outside and for how long you can go out for. Uh, these things are going to be needed because the madmen are running the world and they see the world is overpopulated. They call us a bunch of useless eaters that use up resources. And if you saw what the Georgia Guidestones said before they blew them up, and some of the other things are saying they're going to reduce world population. They're going to call the herd. The herd is us, the basic people. So they're going to get rid of us down to a controllable number. So unless you want to play victim, if that's the job that you want to be a victim. And when the bomb goes off, you count 12 steamboats. If you're still alive, you made it through the blast. Now you got to take cover to protect yourself from the fallout. And you don't want to get none of that on you. So you got to get indoors quick if you were caught outside. But in that first 12 seconds, You could be out there, and if you say, well, I want to die when the bomb goes off, you go out there and that blast hits you, you might end up with broken legs or something and wake up. Now what? If you would have took cover, you might have been okay. But because you didn't, because I've got friends that are telling me that they move closer to right past an Air Force base so they can die when the bomb goes off. They don't want to live. They don't want to try. I'm like, wow,
That's
get
crazy.
get away from me. That's quitter talk, man. Don't
You
bring
no
that stuff
kidding.
around me. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, that's a terrible
I
mentality.
mean, you got your family, you got your children, your grandchildren. People are going to be depending upon you, and you want to die.
Right.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's a definitely a way of pussying out of life for sure. I
Right.
agree, and that's not the American way.
Mm-mm.
That's right.
So, what do you think the potential next step should be um, if these tests actually resume?
As far as the civilian or as far as the U.S. government?
No, I'm talking about the average citizen.
Right now, we're living in perilous times. And I don't know if people realize that or not. I mean, they should feel it in their soul that things is out of balance right now. Uh, we got worse storms than we've ever seen in our lifetime. We got earthquakes that's rocking the world, even in areas that don't normally get earthquakes. Hell, Ohio's done had one or two here recently, south of me, and we don't get none around here. So you're seeing things, you're seeing signs, and people are going to start fighting over resources. I mean, the fresh water supply is drying up. Even the Great Lakes aren't as big as they used to be. They're draining those lakes to make bottled water and stuff with and shipping it out. There's going to be countries in the future that's going to be fighting over water. That's the reason why Bill Gates and them's buying all that farmland that sits over top of aquifers, because water is going to be the gold of the future. But
Mm-hmm.
again, people have to wake up and see what's going on. They got to stay informed. They got to be learning skills right now that can help them. I mean, if if I went into a room and I told everybody to raise their hand, who knows how to fish, you'd be surprised the number of men that don't know how to fish. Who knows how to hunt? No, there's a number of men that don't know how to hunt, don't even know how to hold a gun properly, don't know how to load a magazine. Who knows how to garden? I mean, the more you ask questions, you see less and less hands raised in a room. And I mean, who knows how to sew and repair clothing? Who knows how to make clothing from patterns? I mean, I can go down a list of stuff, and it doesn't make sense that we are losing our skills for the sake of technology. And if the world's going to get blowed up one day, man, it's going to be hell on earth. I'll put it like that. And you better be prepared to last as long as you can.
It's all about survival.
I mean, we
That's
see
right.
right now with the food stamps, people are ready to commit acts of violence, and they ain't gone what 4 or 5 days. No, it ain't been no 5 days. Today's Wednesday. They
Today's the
gone,
5th. Yeah.
yeah, they gone 5 days without the food stamps, and they're already ready to commit acts of violence
They were doing it right
against,
before too. It was hilarious.
yeah, against innocent people, against innocent stores that has nothing to do with them not getting your stamps. But you're going to hold us responsible. You're going to attack us. So
Mm-hmm.
if you do that over some food stamps, if on what is it, Black Friday, after Thanksgiving or whatever, and people out there
That's
fighting
right.
over them big screen TVs,
Mm-hmm.
can you imagine what it's going to be like when the semi trucks stop running to bring supplies? Can you imagine how bad it's going to be? You're going to see cannibalism come back. Man will become eaters of men. Nostradamus even says that. But I'll
Mm-hmm.
stop there.
You know, it's a couple things that when I asked that question, there's a couple things I was thinking about what to actually watch for. And the first thing I would say that I'm gonna be watching for is to see whether or not the explosive testing actually happens, or is it just going to remain the system test as they're saying?
Mm-hmm.
I would say the second thing would probably be to watch the global reactions from these other countries like Russia, China, Pakistan, North Korea. Watch how they start moving here in the next coming weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and then whenever Congress bring their ass back to work, then you're gonna see what they're talking about, dealing with like treaties and alliances and who may respond to what. You know what I mean? This is like stuff that I'm gonna be looking for, listening for. You know what I mean? To kind of give you a general idea as to where they're going. You know what I mean? Because a lot of this stuff, like you said, they're not going to tell you about anyway. You know what I mean? You just catch bits and pieces of it. You know what I mean? And then you have, I would say, probably the fourth thing would probably be civil preparedness, and what some of these agencies and stuff like that would actually put out about taking next steps and being prepared for something like that, if something like that would actually occur. You know what I mean? Because 19 minutes isn't a long time.
No.
It's
And
not a long
you have
time. You're
you
not
have to
going to
have
get
your
far.
right. Mike, give me the whole screen one more time, man.
Sure, of course,
Okay.
I got you. Here you go.
Here's a book I strongly recommend that people buy. It tells you what to do prior, how to stock up, and what you need to have on hand prior to something happening. And then it tells you after detonation what you can expect and what you need to be able to do. Okay. I
Interesting.
mean, just like if you was out and you got some fallout on you, you're going to have to decontaminate and be able to wash that stuff off of you. Now, if you got it in your hair, you want to use some sort of soap to get it out of your hair. You don't use shampoo that has a conditioner in it. If you read on that bottle, it says it's got a conditioner, it's going to make that fallout bond
Lock
with your
in.
hair, and it's not going to go nowhere. So, and the only way you know that is if you're trying to learn something. I mean, each and every day, that's a new opportunity to gain knowledge that you can pass down through your family. I've got a library and I'm constantly looking for information. I'm constantly seeking out. There's nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, some people might think, oh, he's weird or whatever because he's talking all that crazy stuff. Man, I'm seeing what's coming. You might live in the here and now, but I live for tomorrow. I prepare well today so I can do well tomorrow. But I'll
That's
stop
right.
there.
That's right. W.
Yeah, I think that was a good part to close that for today, and that was a pretty good thing you said there, Aaron.
Oh, thank you,
Uh,
my man.
yeah, we're gonna stop it there for this week. Um, but like I said, like always, I want to thank everybody for coming out and watching. Like always, like, follow, share, subscribe. Um, one of the biggest things that I would like for you guys to do that's watching this show is the stuff that we're talking about is not conspiracy. The stuff that we're talking about is fact. It's stuff that mainstream's not telling you. It's stuff that you need to know, not just for you, but for your family and anybody that you care about. For that way, they are aware and knowledgeable about what's really going on outside these. But if you would, please share it while you're at work. Tell your friends about it. Hey, go on there and hit the subscribe button. Get on here and listen to this stuff. I mean, because there's a lot of information that we put out here. There's a lot of information that we have to dig up in order to put it out there. You know what I mean? And us getting it out there is not for, just for us something to talk about. This isn't just content to us. This is stories that we're putting out because we're trying to reach the masses, because the more people that know what's going on, the better off they will all be.
It's our righteous duty to do so, right?
So if you would, like I said, pass it on. Just in general conversation, bring it up. Have somebody go on YouTube, hit the button, watch what we're putting out here. Because some of this stuff that we're talking about, I guarantee, if you listen to it and you pay attention to what we're telling you on here, it will save your life one way or the other. Like I said, thank you all for coming out. Like always, like, follow, share, subscribe. Hit the little QR code at the top to the Dominant Effect store. We got a lot of good stuff on there. A little bit of something there for everybody. If you're actually a member and go on there, there's actually another section that has a whole different line of stuff that's in there that kind of suits your fancy. It's a lot of good stuff in there. And the people that's running that store, they take a lot of time going through, update, and make sure everything's on there, and to try to give a variety of stuff out there to look at. Those of you that's not on the Facebook page, go on the Dominant Effect page. We post stuff on there every single day. There's also a chat line on there. If you want to ask a particular question, you can. If you want to hit us direct, you know how to do that as well. But I guess my final word would be for everyone to don't just listen to what we're saying. Do your own research. Look at it for yourself. And then once you see that what we're telling you is true, do something about it. Go ahead, Aaron.
Well, I want to say right now, the best advice I can give people is to prioritize your spending right now. Live below your means so that you can squirrel away some extra money to have an emergency fund at your house and to start putting back food, medical supplies, cases of water, because something's going to happen. And it's going to be in your lifetime. And you don't want to be caught short like some of these people were caught short with these food stamps. If they decide to pull the rug out from under you, be able to sit back and watch it on high definition TV, how everybody's reacting while you're within the safety of your home. Get proactive, get out in front of this so that you can be prepared. Because like I said earlier, we prepare well today to have a better tomorrow. And I'll stop there.
That's right. You know, you definitely stole that right out of my mouth. Of what I was going to say is absolutely live below your means. You know, people are here in the United States, love to live at their means, if not higher. And I think as a culture, we need to understand where we're at, and it's time to stop flaunting for people that don't give a shit about you in the first place. You know what I mean? Start looking on a survival level and make sure that you can do everything in your power to survive and be the last man standing. And that's what we're talking about. And this is why what we're doing is what we're doing. So listen, we'll be back here in 7 days. Thank you all so much for coming out. Make sure you guys hit the like button on the way out. It helps the show immensely on both sides. And listen, stick around on my side. We're going to be sending you guys off to my buddy Grid One. And let them know we're coming through with the raid. And until 7 days from now, much love, honor, respect to everybody, and have a great one.